In this video, we will be talking about law, attorneys, and common law. I think we all see that things in our society, some of them are just not right. We will be giving a couple of examples. We all wonder how things got this way. Let me just give you an idea. Here's the definition of law out of Black's Law's Ninth. The regime that orders human activities and relations through systematic application of force of politically organized society or through the social pressure backed by force in such a society, the legal system. So for things to change, we're going to need to be that social pressure backed by force in such a society, and we need to take it where? We need to take it to the legal system if we really want to see change. Here's lex. This is statutory law. Keep this in mind. This is what they actually claim to be law. Lex is Latin for law, especially statutory law. Positive law as opposed to natural law. Natural law is written in the Declaration of Independence as the law of nature. Strictly speaking, lex is a statute, whereas jus is law in general, as well as right, which brings us to our next image here, which is juris. And that is Latin for of law or of right. This is why things are called jurisdiction. They have they have the right to write laws over you. Okay, that's the jurisdiction. This is why the books are all called corpus juris secundum, jurisprudence, American jurisprudence. Juris means of law and of right. So if you want your rights, you want your juris back. Now, let's look at what a statute is. You've been hearing a lot about that. A statute is generally defined or described as the written will of the legislature solemnly expressed according to the forms necessary to constitute it the law of the state. This is out of corpus juris secundum. The term statute is used broadly to designate the written law in contradiction to the unwritten law. The meaning of the term statute varies according to the connection in which it is used, and an enactment to which a state gives the force of law is a statute, although not originating in the legislature. So the state gives the force of law. I would like for you to remember this because there is no place in corpus juris secundum or in the legal dictionaries that there is a term statutory law. There are statutes, there is a term for statutory, but there is no such thing called as statutory law. They just use statutes to give the force of law. Nature and duties of office of attorney. An attorney is an officer of the court with an obligation to the courts and the public as well as to his or her client and his or her duty to facilitate the administration of justice. Think about that. They have an obligation to the courts first. The privileges attendant to being licensed to practice as an attorney at law have concomitant obligations, including a fundamental public duty to assist the courts in administration of law and resolution of legal controversies. An attorney acts not only as a client's representative, but also as an officer of the court and accordingly has a duty to serve both masters. Think about that. They are married to the court. You will only be their client one time or a handful of times, but they have to practice in that court every day. If your friend and your girlfriend are having a fight, whose side are you going to be on? You might think that your friend is right, but you're going to be on your girlfriend's side because you have to live with her every single day. Now, let's take a look at common law, which is guaranteed by the 7th Amendment in the United States Bill of Rights. It is generally described as those principles, usage, and rules of action applicable to the government and security of persons and property that do not rest for their authority on any express and positive declaration of the will of the legislature. So what it's saying right there, no statutes, no statutes, and it's applicable to the government. The government has to follow by the common law. Here, nature as form of law, and that's what I'm talking about, natural law. Okay, that was what was in the Declaration of Independence. The great fundamental object and principle of the common law was the protection of the individual in the enjoyment of all his inherent and essential rights, and to afford him a legal remedy for their invasion. This is why the government doesn't want people to know about common laws, because they are invading people's rights, their essential and inherent rights, and they do not want to have to remedy that invasion. Common law maximums. The aim or object of the law is to provide justice and fair dealings. The good or safety of the people is the supreme law. Public force cannot be invoked except for the protection of substantial rights. That's your natural and inherent rights. The law looks to the substance and not to the form. So it looks to the substance, what's actually happening, and not to the form of how you present it in court. This is how courts are supposed to operate. Here's some more common law maximums. A man's home is his castle. You've heard that one before, right? Each individual stands on equal footing. The end does not justify the means. And actions speak louder than words. That's good philosophy for anybody to go by. So, what have we learned today? We have learned that statutes are the written will of the legislature exclusively, and that the common law does not operate on statutes. It operates away from statutes, and the common law is applicable to the government. So if the public wants to right some of these wrongs that are happening in society today by statutes, for instance, Arnold Abbott getting arrested for feeding homeless people down in Florida, and the judge only orders that the arrest stop for 30 days. They do not renounce the statute. They only order that the arrest stop for 30 days. Or things like grand jury indictments for cops who do not get indicted when they shoot and kill an unarmed civilian. Then we're going to have to do this because all attorneys and all members of the bar have an oath to the court before the public. They have an oath to the court to administer the court's justice, and I don't think it's very good justice for the rest of us. Thanks for watching this. Next time I'll be talking about citizens. Please bear with me, we got a lot to go over.